Hey, what's going on, guys? We are back with another episode of the PokeTalk podcast. It's me, Nate, here with Phillip once again. What's going on?
Hey, not too much. Well, I guess there is a decent amount going on.
Got a couple stories.
Yeah. Within the Pokemon markets, the traveling Zard continues his journey.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a 151 Zard Phillip had that made its way back because of damage and sold again during the craziness. We'll talk about the Charizard price hype. We're kind of seeing a crazy spike in the 151 Charizard. Also going to talk about some GameStop. You can now submit cards to PSA through GameStop. So there's a lot I want to talk about on that. And yeah, those are kind of the two big things. Let us know if the audio is fine. I guess it's kind of risky us not double checking it, but my mixer looks fine, but we're doing a little different of a setup here for our recording session, so we'll see how the audio sounds. But yeah, tell us a story about that old Charizard.
So, the old Charizard, I wasn't really paying attention to it. I kind of put it on the back burner. I thought it was kind of a cool little story behind it, and I didn't necessarily want to sell it just yet. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of look at, and just kind of laugh at that crack and be like, that damn crack,
Yeah, kind of recap the story for those who might not know, but...
Oh, yeah. So, basically, I sold this, it was back in probably August, and it was whenever we got our PSA order back, I'm pretty sure sometime in August. It was one of the first cards I sold, and it sold for like $325 or $330 or something like that, and I sent it off to eBay authentication, and about a week later, I got a notification that my card failed authentication. And I was like, what?
It's not real?
And I was like, okay. And then I read further after I kind of dealt with my initial shock, and it was like, the slab had damage that wasn't showcased in the photo. I was like, oh, damn it. At that point, immediately something happened. Because whenever I sent it off, obviously it was uncracked. Get it back, but I have to call eBay because it's not delivered to my place. It was delivered to the only address on file for return address. That was my old place.
Yeah, and we talked about how that was kind of messed up because, it's not that you had the wrong address in there. You had no address.
No. Correct.
And then they just well, this was his last address. Let's just send it there. So
from 2 years ago.
That was kind of messed up on their part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got from the story with the shipping. It's like, okay, you have no address in there. So they're just going to look up the last used and just send it back to you willy-nilly?
Sure, I'm sure. What if that was a $10,000 card?
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I mean, if there has to be something in place, if you have no address on file, I mean, they're probably like, oh, yeah, we'll just send it to the last address, which might work sometimes, but double check with the person, especially if you had nothing on file.
And you think, and I assume if it was a much more expensive card, there would be some sort of common sense, should we just verify this just to make sure? Because this card isn't cheap, But that didn't happen. And I called asking where it was. Eventually, it took about an hour to get... Well, it wasn't an hour. It was 30 minutes to get a hold of somebody real. But they were actually pretty good when I got a hold of them. They were very understanding of the situation. They were when I said which card it was, they're like, oh, no, seemed genuine. The person actually seemed legitimately happy on the other line. And I'm like, what is this? Is this customer service? And I got a hold of somebody directly in authentication. They told me about the process. They told me which address was sent out. And I was like, can we potentially get something on a refund potentially? Because this has never happened before. I've been a customer for or a seller now since 2020, blah, blah, blah. And a few minutes later, it was maybe 30 minutes later, I got a phone call saying that we're going to go ahead and just clear that for you. So all thing was all good, right? No, null and void. Honey returned on their end. The customer got his money back. Everybody's happy. I guess besides eBay. And as luck would have it, I actually just went over to the old place and basically just got my card back. Won't go into how I got my card back, but my card I safely acquired, and I
You
was like, well,
found the package with your name on
exactly.
it.
Yes, I found a package that belonged to me, and that's all I'll say. And I basically got it back, and I was able to see the actual damage done to it, and it wasn't as bad as I feared because it wasn't on the face; it was on all the side. It was like on the label down to the side, so not on the actual card itself or the face of the card. Which, if you was sent to the reholder service, they would probably regrade it. It was all on the side of it, so no damage to the card. Well, fast forward to now, and the Charizard market is just going off, going up from basically 400 to 650, 700 within a span of a week.
It's going wild.
Yes, the height is basically, the percentage wise, is pretty comparable to the Umbreon at this point.
Yeah, it's really taken off, and you know, we saw these cards remain expensive back when there was a Japanese reprint. The English was always, chucking along. They got somewhat of a half reprint in English, but not enough. So it's just continued. And a lot of people still like the Japanese more, but English, for being tougher to grade and less availability, has just really taken off. So yeah, it has been crazy. And I think ZNG Emporium posted like a picture. This was like within a week apart. He posted a picture like, this card's going crazy. It's over $400 now. And then like 4 or 5 days later, it's like, okay, there's a confirmed sale of 700 something. It just kept going. So I think things are starting to level off now,
Well,
but they're still staying up there.
I mean, you say that, but then it's like just 2 days ago, somebody bought one for like $700.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
were pushing higher than that though. So
well, I was looking at it, even the last one. Now, let me just, because I think I didn't check today. I think I checked yesterday, and the last soul was like 610,
yeah,
615. This was tonight, 600. So yeah, and then this guy, what day is it? It's the 23rd. Yeah, so today there's another guy that, you know, you can just tell when a bidding war erupts, right? Like this one was an auction and sold for 760.
yeah,
But then all the other ones, yeah, they're like 595, 580. Some people are trying to just get the money ASAP. This one sold for 610. Like if you just have it 650, same thing today. So, it's still, it looks like they're showing trends of kind of leaning down, but then there's still buyers that are starting to really give in to FOMO.
yeah, and it's kind of expected too. Like, it doesn't surprise me. What was it when you originally sold it? Like 300
It was
or so.
it was like 325 and I sold it for 525.
Yeah, with the
They were
crack.
going, yeah, I wanted it because I didn't know how long this little hype we're in is going to come back down eventually. I don't know to what end, but it's definitely going to recede a little bit. And I was like, I just want it gone ASAP. Like
Yeah,
this is my time to sell. If there were ever any indication with big neon signs with arrows pointing all towards me, this would be the sign to sell. And I've evaluated the reholding service, assuming you just sent that thing in individually at about a $60 whatever cost, like
mm-hmm.
shipping, insurance, all that. Um, so I went about basically $20 to $30 over for convenience, and people people bought it. I think, within a matter of hours, I had about 25 launchers on the card in just a few hours. I had, in a span of 30 minutes, I had messages from 4 different people when I first posted it. I was like, wow, I feel like this is the debutante ball, and I'm just the belle of the ball over here. And it was cool having a card sell that quick and that many people were hyped about it. I mean, it was kind of interesting to see the other side as a seller and not the buyer with something like that. Because it seems like outside of like the D23 cards, I don't feel like I've had cards that have been that hot in the market. Like, the hottest card literally in the market at that time, and I was in the possession of selling. I think that's the first time it's ever actually happened, again, outside the D23 card. So that was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty wild, and yeah, I think you timed it right. Because
Lucky.
yeah,
Complete luck.
yeah, definitely exploded, and obviously going to plateau and pull back quickly. I mean, even something that is rare and even more sought after, like the ponchos. Um, this summer we saw an intense spike. Um, all of a sudden, and it really only lasted 3 weeks before probably about like this was. And I don't know if people are doing a buyout, but stuff like the 20th anniversary, when I got it last holiday season, they were going for like 4K. And then during that summer spike, they went up to 20, or not quite 20, maybe like 16 to 18.
It was close. The
Yeah.
Testa.
Which lasted about 2-3 weeks. And then right now they settled at about 8-9. So double what they were, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. Those, once you get the ball rolling, it's like a snowball effect, but it very quickly goes. If you see something go that fast, it's hot and fiery, and then it'll settle down. But
are those cards really only going for $8,000 or $9,000 right now in a tin?
I think so. 20th Festa.
Yeah, I'm curious. Let's well, we can continue this conversation, but I'm curious.
Last I checked, it's been a while since I checked, but yeah, like the Charizard, it's not as crazy, but it'll settle just above what it was. Like I could see it being 400, 450 pretty easily, higher than what it was. So,
wow, they're going for less than that.
Yeah, I know they've been coming down.
One sold at auction for 6,500, and another for 7,500, 7,500, 7,600. This is interesting. We'll have to continue this conversation later, Nathan. This gives me ideas.
You gonna make a play?
I'm just saying this changes things. I didn't realize they were at that price point.
And
that's a card. That's a card that's genuinely rare. Like a card that can get out of my price point really quick. Unlike the first edition Zard. If I just want a first edition Zard, I can get one for a couple K. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is a card. Yes, it's kind of niche, but it's iconic card within the hobby. One of the best cards. We'll have to. Yeah. Okay. That's all right.
Yeah, and I mean, here's one that's sold by it now for 7,200.
I mean, the auctions are under for 7,000 in the middle of August, and this is a card that's not going to change too much within the next year. Now, next fall, people potentially speculating for 30th anniversary, definitely a possibility. But I mean, it's consistently 7,500. You can maybe get one under 7,000 if you're patient.
Yeah, it literally is like, if there was one card I would own and like I had to sell the rest, like that's probably the one I would like pick over everything. Even the ponchos, and I feel like it doesn't even get as much love as the ponchos because you don't see it. People who have that card don't get rid of that card. Ponchos pop up a lot.
There's less than 1,000 of these cards even graded. if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
I want to say
Obviously,
there's
most.
more than that, but I'm not sure.
I don't think there is, but we're getting off subject here.
I don't even look because it's like I don't care. I'm
You already
never
got
getting
it.
rid of that card. It's like
Yeah.
it's my favorite card of all time. But we're talking about 20th anniversary Festa Pikachu
Mm.
279 with all the starters on it. But yeah, I think it doesn't get as much love as the ponchos because you go to a Collecticon, many people have ponchos. The ponchos are it's like the gold, you know. It's very high value, but a lot of people have it. People are always willing to buy and sell it for the right price. This one, it's kind of like I don't know, it doesn't really compare to like precious metal. Like you see it sometimes. Um, Usually only one or two people have it, and they have it marked way up because they don't want to get rid of it. So it's kind of like going after the Mega Charizard X Poncho. You see that one a lot less, and people are a lot more stingy with that one at shows. That's even more so with this card because it's like a standalone card. So yeah, better make that play if you're gonna make it.
Well, when it be till next year? I can't afford a card like this right now. But
Get a
yeah.
second job for a couple months.
I mean, I've kind of found a good little gig going on, but for another side job.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess let's move on. While we're talking about 151, we can mention real quick that apparently there is a reprint confirmed now on the Japanese 151 once again. So yeah, those boxes are probably going to be cheap again. They were pretty cheap when we were at Collecticon, and then they kind of dried up and they went back up, and now they're doing another reprint. So if you are wanting to hold 151 booster boxes, it seems to be an ever proving all odds, beating all odds that it is a home run set no matter how much they print of it. Even if English is more expensive, the stuff will be fun to open for all eternity. And
Yep.
this probably will be the last hurrah we see as far as a big reprint goes. But
Well,
that's
if
for Japanese too. I don't know about English.
well, if Evolving Skies is still going off, I mean, that's the set to compare it to. Just, I mean,
But Evolving
151.
Skies like sucks to open though. Like
I know. So there's pros and cons to each set, especially buying it. But I'm just saying, if Evolving Skies is still doing what it's doing, 151 I think is it's going to be a sure thing. I mean, I know he said our issues with collecting sealed in the past, but I mean, don't listen to us. Like we've also always prefaced it and always was like, well, collect what you love, but I still think there's better ways of utilizing your money if you're dealing with just if you're dealing with the neighborhood of a few thousand. But you know, to each their own.
yeah,
At some point,
it's
though, I think it's going to be not the best idea because of the sealed paranoia.
yeah, it's interesting. I think Evolving Skies is doing well, obviously, but like not a whole lot of people are opening those boxes. Like it just really sucks to open, and it's really hard to get the stuff you want to pull. It's a home run if you get it, but it just really sucks to open it just to enjoy because the price is far too high for the return of investment, which was pretty leaning hard on the losing side. Whereas 151, it's kind of the cheaper and more fun type thing. So it's a lot of people will be like opening this for much longer, I think. But people shouldn't be buying Evolving Skies booster boxes to chase the Rayquaza or the Moonbreon. They should just buy it outright at that point. So we'll see. how it pans out. I probably won't be buying any, but if you're a big sealed collector out there, now might be an even better spot to pop in. But for the other news, there is a 151 new bundle at Costco. I don't know if you saw that story where they have the Galaxy foil
Yep,
as a
yep.
reverse foil. So those look pretty cool.
Been seeing the videos of people buying them by the pallet
Yep.
at Costco.
Which it's kind of cool. It comes with 5 tins, all Kanto Pokemon on the tins. One of them's Gengar. So yeah, and it's a good way to get 151 booster packs. But yeah, it looks like you might only get like 2. Oh, in each Pokemon tin, you get 2 151 English booster packs. So yeah, 10 packs and all 4 promos, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, that's not a bad value right there, honestly.
no,
Casca.
pull that $600 Charizard. So, and the only other thing that I have besides the main GameStop news, say the Heatwave Arena, which is coming to Japan in March 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And what I assume is the Japanese set name, the Glory of Team Rocket, coming on April 18th. And it will be featuring Rocket's Mewtwo EX and no Dark Pokemon, but they will all be Rocket's Pokemon. So I wonder if we'll see like a Celebrations style reprint of the OG Rocket's Mewtwo. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, sounds like then our English set will drop sometime in late spring, early summer.
Yeah.
For when the English will come out. Basically, right when we're going to Kansas City Con, probably. But I think that's going to be a pretty fun set. This is kind of the set they've been hyping up for. By the time it comes out, it'll be a year, honestly.
Yeah, for them to have a special thing about it at Worlds, like, they got to be cooking up something good. So
like I feel like the card of the year, if people are after, I know there's the Eevee set and all that, but the card of the year, that the Chase one, like that Zard or like the Umbreon, if I were to make bets, I would assume it'd be in the set, but you never know.
Yep. We shall see. But yeah, I did look at that Festa, and there is only 1,200 of them graded.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah, but no, less than 10% are 9s, meaning the 9s are hard to come by too, and they're going to probably demand about 70% of the 10 prices. So if the 10s are going for 7,500, people are probably going to want at least 5,000 for a 9, I would think, ish.
Yeah, that's the thing with that card. It's like, yeah, a lot of them grade 10, so it's hard to find people with lesser. That's kind of my issue, that when I was looking at some of the promos or the Mario Pikachu and all that, it's hard to find a 9 because they mostly grade 10s. So it's almost hard to downsize if you're looking for something like that. Speaking of Mario Pikachu, how's that been doing? I know that's still been going up as well. No, we're kind of.
I thought it was pretty close to. This is what we call the market talk session.
Hey, might as well.
Okay.
We might be skipping an episode, but looks like PSA 10, 5,800.
I was going for the 9s. That's the one I have, obviously.
Another PSA
3,600.
10,
Wow. So one did a best offer 3,600, but in an auction sold for 2,500. And then another one the day before at 2,600. So I would say it's actually down when it comes to auctions. Another one the same month, 2,600, 2,800. But it looks like the buy it nows are demanding quite more of a premium.
Yeah, and it's probably just people sitting on them, but yeah, they've went up slightly. Like I think yours was. Oh, sorry. Choking up here.
I think it was like 2,950 is what I bought it for. Was it less than? No, it was.
I thought it was just over 2,000.
No, it was more than that.
But trying to look
I might.
back,
I'd have to. I think I gave it to you in Venmo, didn't I?
I think so. I bought
Or was it
my,
cash?
I think it was Venmo. I can't remember. I think I bought my, yeah, here it is. I bought my 10 from Jim at Pokemon at 53, and it's right about 58 now. So
It's within the
10,
same range.
10's creeped up a little bit. But yeah, anyway, we can get back to our like on topic stuff here. GameStop
GameStop.
making a comeback. It's the meme survivor. It's the short survivor. It's still
Twenty
trucking
six
on.
hundred.
26.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about kind of what we had, I think.
All right, but yeah, GameStop.
GameStop. So
It survives again.
here we are, and we got some interesting developments. This is pretty genius of them and PSA. So news dropped a while back this year that GameStop was buying and selling TCG cards. You can bring in your PSA slabs, scan them in, and they'll offer you a price. Don't recommend Leonhardt videos very often, but his two videos, he had one where he sold some cards through GameStop. Then he had one this week where he submitted cards through GameStop. And I will say, like, the one that he uploaded this week about submitting cards, it was like a very good video. And that GameStop employee is like goated. Like, a lot of people were commenting, like, oh, this is my GameStop. I love that guy. And he knows his stuff. And he's an older dude. And yeah, he knew what he was doing. It was really cool to see that interaction and them both working together and like figuring it out. But honestly, it's so smooth. There's not a whole lot to figure out. So yeah, they are doing the 45-day turnaround service for Pokemon cards valued $200 or less. As expected value, it will cost $15.99 per card plus a flat $5 shipping rate. That's if you just go in and submit an order. In his video, though, he did the GameStop rewards that they're always trying to get you to buy. Kind of annoying at some points, but apparently, like for the $5 a year, you get free shipping on all your PSA orders. So that alone will pay for itself. It might actually get a lot of people to sign up for their rewards now, who don't normally go in. But they get free email updates throughout the process. So kind of curious to see if it tells you like when they're being graded, when they're coming back. But essentially the whole process is you bringing them their cards. They take a picture of your cards all laid out as a group just to show what they're sending. They pack them up, put like a barcode on it, and then put it in a box. And then whenever they get 20 cards or more, they send them straight to PSA. They don't have to input the cards at all. The employee literally just puts them in like a team bag with your unique barcode, logs it in the system with the picture, and then put it in a box and they FedEx it to PSA. PSA gets the cards. They do all the itemizing and all the sorting and obviously the grading. And then when they're done, they send them back to the GameStop and you pick up your cards at GameStop. So for $1 or $2 more per order, that's a pretty darn good service. I mean, you don't have to itemize the cards, which takes a while. You don't have to, most importantly, buy the membership on PSA, which is like $150, $200 now, depending on what tier you get, I think. So they recently raised that. So if you're someone who doesn't submit often to really get your money out of the membership of PSA, this might actually be a very good option. Like I've considered using this like going forward sometimes. It's like, well,
I mean, the
dang.
only time it might be worth it is if you know you're trying to send off a higher value card, I feel like, or if you're sending off a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
Like there was multiple times in the last year, 2 years where we could barely hit the 20 card order. And the order I did before we went to KCCon, basically the last three or four, I knew I was going to basically break even on those.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so essentially I costed myself, I know I basically broke even, but it was more money up front nonetheless.
Yeah.
And it was something where if I had the choice, I would have loved to have only sent in like a dozen, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes it more viable potentially just to pretty much go in whenever and just, oh, you got 8 cards you feel like sending in right now? Go ahead and send it in.
Yeah, the really rural GameStops that are doing this, I wonder how much of a problem they will have getting 20 cards. But in that case, if they just literally have one customer grading cards with them, I imagine that one guy will, wait until he has 20 cards to bring it to him. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's just a couple dollar markup per card. And to have that convenience, as long as it runs smoothly, like it appeared like it was going to run smoothly, like I said, you literally just lay it out for them. They take a picture, they put it in a bag, in a box. They don't do anything else except upload their picture and charge you for the price. Um, so yeah, if it's as smooth as they showed handing it off, then it looks pretty crazy. Leonhardt did send out like a first edition Raichu that was like a PSA 7. That's probably better than the 7 that he will probably get upcharged on. And they said, they will email directly talking about new charges and doing all that before they give the cards back. Because worst case scenario, someone's like, oh, okay, I'm not paying that. Well, GameStop sells cards now, so they can just sell it and get their money back. So it's kind of a win-win for GameStop. They can provide the service, make a couple bucks off each card, and that's it. This is pretty much what a lot of fellow collectors that I know on Instagram do. They're a PSA middleman. So they pay the fee, and they might pay someone like $1 a card to grade for them, and they just send it in on their account. So it's obvious business, and like there's people out there who do it. I'm pretty sure there's something where when your cards come back, you can just sell them right there with GameStop. So, that's pretty cool. There's services out there like Catch 'em All Collectibles and Z&G where you can just send them your cards and sell them as well. There's services out there that will grade and then sell your cards. So there's a bunch of options out there now. But this to me is the most important because PSA, basically wanted a middle ground. Like the more middleman they have, the easier their job becomes because they don't want to take, Timmy's 5 card order that's all taped up and then Jimmy's 2 card order that, is duct taped to protect his cards and, whoever's card. That is such a pain to do all those orders, and they still are individual orders with GameStop, but at least they're all at once, so they can work through them all at once. And GameStop ensures that they're all in penny sleeves and card savers. I think they are charging for that, like $1 or something per card saver. So obviously, buy your own card savers, buy your own penny sleeves, and bring them in there ready to be sent off. But they even have those available if you're lazy and don't want to get your own stuff there. So yeah, it makes sense. It frees up a lot of time for PSA, even though they have to log in the system, but it saves time across the board and saves a lot of hassle for the collector too, who are more than willing. In many cases, I'd be one, paid $2 for someone to take away all that trouble. It takes a while. It's a lot of headache, and I'm real particular with things, so I gotta double check things. And yeah, it's interesting. win-win for everybody, in my opinion. Just think of how many GameStops there are, and like PSA and GameStop just overnight turned all of those into middlemen.
Well, there's only right now. I think there's only one in town for us.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of big cities that have multiple, like I'm sure there's one main one that they make the hub,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be hard to manage like every GameStop having every single one if there was like 5 in one town.
I say
Um,
ours is the one in the mall.
yeah, makes sense. It's kind of unique in our situation though. They probably picked the mall because like quote unquote a lot of people go to the mall, but you and I both know the one on Broadway or Grindstone are both probably busier than the mall one. But yeah, they probably don't know that, or they don't care. They just probably looked at the map and okay, the mall's a good location, which ironically it's probably also the location that's farthest away from locals.
Well, it's probably
But
also there's more security probably there too. That probably has something to do with it.
yeah, probably right there too. So
Because you
yeah.
got to go through not just the store security, but the mall security as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it probably makes more sense for that. Maybe that's what they're thinking, but yeah. Our town's weird. Our mall is like on the complete opposite of locals and probably less busy than the other Game Stops, which probably isn't true for many cities, but it's kind of a weird setup. But yeah, what do you think? I mean, it seems like pretty good overall and like a no-brainer for PSA
I
just
mean,
to make their
this
job
is
easier. And
what I like about it too is I don't have to wait now 3-4 months to potentially send off an order. If there's cards I would like to send off now, knowing the market, you know, or most likely what could involve with these cards. Well, I could have 3 cards, right? And like, well, I really want these sent off. Well, or even if it's just 20 cards, I can fulfill an order on my own, and it's only $20, $30 more. Well, if you got to pay 150 for the membership and cover the cost of insurance and cover the cost of shipping, well, it takes a little bit of money to be able to make that membership and all that worth it. Obviously, several hundred, at least $200.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, you might save a little bit with the card. So basically, unless you send out a couple hundred cards, which I don't plan on doing, at least not next year or anything like that, I expect it to be under 50 or 60. So it'd make more sense to send it through GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the convenience is there. Like, I was like, oh, I can use this service. I was like, well, I guess I'm getting another membership with GameStop. Obviously, I don't really play games, but they do have retro games now they're bringing back. Now, while I don't really play retro games, I do like to collect the
Yeah,
retro games. So,
and like some stores are offering Pokemon singles now, so I kind of want to go. Like I've never considered it. Like I've checked out the GameStop closer to me, um, but now that PSA partnered with the one in the mall, I kind of want to check that out because they're probably the one that's selling the singles, if any of them are.
yep.
So I have to make a trip over there, see what's going on, maybe submit a few cards.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything. I think I sent it off on the last order. But I've been kind of paying attention to Yeti Gaming because I did buy. I bought a few cards, obviously, for my own self. I might always flip potentially to put towards something else that might be worth creating, but I haven't really came across that yet.
Yeah. And a lot of people are commenting on Poke Beach, like, I really hope it doesn't become a fiasco submitting with GameStop. And then I really don't like the sound of this. Sure, there's the convenience factor, but other than that, I think GameStop is just capitalizing on popularity of
Well, no
Pokemon.
shit.
It's like, well, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. There's a service. I mean, look at all these. Like I said, my fellow collectors, friends I talk to on Instagram, who have their own side hustle being a PSA middleman. This was a thing for years, even before 2020 as well. Like, there would be straight up random Joe Schmoes with like 2,000 followers that people would just send their cards to, and then they would send them off to PSA. And, some of them kind of pissed me off because back when it was getting crazy, granted, it's a lot to keep track of, but you'd see people post like, if you sent this card to me, DM me. I've lost my list, or I forgot who sent this card. Like, if I was running a service like that, there would be no questions. Like, I'd have that documented 3-4 times who sent what in. But anyway, there's Joe Schmoes doing this, and all they were doing was taking advantage of it. They're like, "Ooh, I got this cool business idea," but really, they're just taking advantage of people who don't want to mess around with the forms and all that, because PSA is kind of daunting. It's a lot easier than people think, but it's, especially sending in the cards for the very first time. Like, you're basically just sending your cards out the door and wondering if you're ever going to see them again. It is a daunting task, daunting thing to do. Like, you just putting your trust in this company, but they are solid. They get it done, and GameStop seems to be getting it done. PSA wouldn't partner with them for no reason, and all they are is just being a middleman now. And it helps PSA by grouping a bunch of smaller orders together. It helps GameStop because they can make a little money. It helps the consumer because they don't have to jump through the hoops. It helps PSA even further because it reaches a fan base who might not normally want to submit cards. So people buying cards at GameStop probably aren't, let's be real. GameStop probably has some deals every once in a while, but people who are dedicated to GameStop for their TCG purchases are probably not the most experienced in the hobby. So maybe they're reaching a lot of inexperienced people on the grading side of things. So that gives PSA more business, and it's good overall. That's obviously what they're doing. I see no problem with it. PSA doesn't have to, they built like a UK middleman station. They build all these stations across the world. So why not have one in the US? Well, that would take a lot to build. Maybe you build one on the East Coast, West Coast, the South, the North, a couple in the Midwest. Or you could just partner with GameStop and have access to like thousands overnight. So no brainer for all sides, really. I just see the hobby really evolving, and this is more of a hobby evolution, even though it's kind of a corporate evolution. This is gonna be good overall for everybody.
Props to GameStop though. Seriously, they have changed themselves multiple times in my lifetime alone.
Yeah,
I remember going in. This must have been about 10 years old when the first one opened up near me, and they had just like, how like Walmart will have the pile of the $5 DVD bin, or they used to. Well, it was like that, but with like retro games. I'm talking Sega Genesis, N64, NES, SNES. Their site even had it to where you can buy all these games. They had a lot of these items actually up available for the site. They had thousands. And I thought it was so cool, but obviously being a kid, I didn't have like all the money to buy this stuff. And it ended up being one of those things where we were constantly trading stuff in, made some not the best decisions trading stuff in, just constantly flipping for more for new stuff. And then it's changed to where it's basically recently it feels like it's basically a hobby and collectible store now. And then now with being able they're selling Pokemon singles, they're selling slab cards, they're sending cards off to you. Well, it's in a lot of places like ours, it kind of is going to become, in some cases, like the heartbeat of the hobby. I feel like within the community.
Yeah, they're going smooth, and they can keep it up. Obviously they were dead in the water, and then the meme stock and the roaring kitty and all the people buying the shorts and all that fiasco a couple years ago, that revived GameStop financially, but business wise they were still dead in the water. But they were throwing a bone, everyone had fun, and they made something out of it. So they're offering TCG now. They're basically I don't know if they're linked with the distributor. I didn't even like look at that too much, but
That'd be the next step I would think they're going to try to do. I mean, why not? They've already gone this far. They can't just
well, I think
tap
they
and
are
do
because
it.
that's why they
Yeah.
offer products in their stores.
Well, I mean, they have
So
some, but I mean, it seems like every time I go there, it's not the same amount. No, I
yeah,
haven't been there in a minute. Like I'm talking the amount you would want to expect, right? I'm
yeah,
talking like
I think they
you
have ramped up quite a bit.
okay, because you go into Yeti Gaming and they literally have a row of like 30 sets, each one priced individually in a lot of cases. Obviously, if it's new era, it's all the same. It's all the same price, more or less. But it's cool. It's like you're literally in a candy shop at that point, right? That's kind of what it feels like. You just see all these different artwork packs, and I went for those. I would love to see something kind of comparable with GameStop. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. But got to wrap it up here. But one last little thing is that they might be at Houston CollectCon with a booth, GameStop
Mm.
themselves. So
Mm.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I got to get off here. But let us know what y'all think and see what GameStop does next. But any closing remarks on your end?
We're all just waiting for GameStop on the edge of our seat. What's the next thing they're gonna do? I have to know. But
Find out
hey,
next
it's
time.
on Dragon Ball Z. I'm Pokemon Podcast, but no, I really can't wait because this move, I thought the move disclosing the aspect with the cards was cool, and then this is cool. It's kind of getting me kind of re-engaged in the hobby, So I'm really excited to see what happens in the next few weeks.
Yep, for sure. All right, guys, we will see you next time and peace out.
See y'all later.